Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to this week's Mental Monday. This week I want to kind of flip the conversation about online community that we talked about to the mental health side of things and talk about the different online mental health services you can find. There's a lot of different apps, there's a lot of different websites you can go on to find not just another person to talk to, but a legitimately fully qualified mental health professional. And you can set up text appointments, video appointments, phone calls, and have services through that. And there's a lot of different ones. Each are kind of set up in their own way, and each are going to have, I think, their own requirements, to my understanding of like what they require or how they label the credentials of the professionals they are able to offer services through. But first off, I want to say, I think all of that is great. I think it's amazing that we have the technology to allow that to be so accessible. And I think as I have gotten more in the mode of being really remote and kind of thinking more along those lines, it's nice to see that as a possible option for me when I get to the point of wanting to start helping people. However, I do have some thoughts on who that might be good for and who in-person therapy or in-person services still might be the preferred when you're able to. That doesn't mean you can't have a mixture of both. I think a mixture of both could actually work out really, really well. But it's more, you would for sure still want to have some level of in-person services happening. Mental health can a lot of the time be looked at as a spectrum, but at the same time, there's like a million different sub-spectrums within that kind of look individually at each thing. Because of the different natures of each kind of mental health category of what you're struggling with, some of that could determine how you handle things best. And this would again be case-by-case basis. So once again, don't put this in lieu of treatment or talking to a professional. If anything, I'm encouraging you to talk to one of these professionals if you feel like you might need to talk to somebody. This is not meant to treat or diagnose or blanket suggest things. This is simply my thoughts on these forms or mediums of services. So, somebody that is just needing somebody to talk to. They're struggling, they're having a hard time with something, they're needing to process something, and either they want a third party that doesn't know them personally, or that has a little more education on things, they want more of a professional, or they just at the time don't have somebody else in their life available to talk to, and so they need somebody to talk to. These are amazing. And I think that's the bulk of why they're there and the hope for how they're able to help people. And make it so easy to be able to talk to somebody when you feel like you need to. And encourage that to happen more and more. So somebody that's at that level, I think is really what I would suggest this easily for, because you're getting that and it's really accessible. For somebody that maybe has a little bit more complex of an issue or a struggle, it would really be dependent on what that struggle was. Whether it was something diagnosed that they already knew about, or something like that, you're going to want more in-person services for that. At least some level is what my feeling would be. Just because of the nature of what you're working through. For the professional, I think it would be easier to work with you in that way because they could get to know you a little better that way. They could get to know your vocal inflections. They could get to know your body language. There's just a different feeling that adds that I think would be important in those scenarios. That's just my feeling for it. So those are my initial general thoughts. Now, as far as the services themselves and how they're fleshed out on the websites, I think before you sign up with one or start getting services through one, it would be important to really make yourself aware of their policies and their procedures for vetting the professionals they have on their website. And you would always want to look into that professional and maybe take a little time looking through more than one before you were to decide who you wanted to reach out to and try to start services with. And knowing how that website vets them, you would maybe be able to tell which website you might be a little more comfortable with, because if they have a heavier vetting process, if you can see their credentials, that's a little more comforting than obviously those that would not do so much effort in that area. I think that's important, an important aspect of therapy in general, and especially then when you're moving it onto online and not in person, not face to face, where you're gonna have an easier time fleshing out this person's background and how you really feel like they could help you. I think that becomes even more important just because of the nature of that medium. So that would be my biggest advice, is to know the website you're using and know how they vet their professionals, and then take that extra time to look through professionals that are listed on there. I think the biggest thing that's encouraging for me with those services is you can have it just right on your phone. That also just adds even more flexibility to how that professional can help you. So instead of just sticking with in-person services, you can add that dynamic where you may have a little bit of a mixture of the different elements. And I think that would be really helpful and good. So that's my thought on them. If you have any experiences with those that you would like to share, go ahead and leave them down in the comments. I myself have not experienced any. I have debated trying some. I just haven't to this point yet. But I think it can be a really great tool. I do still think it is case by case what would be most helpful, obviously. So, those are my thoughts. Let me know yours down below, and I hope you have a wonderful day. And if you are not already, make sure you are subscribed and have notifications on, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye!